Welcome back. Since 1990, South Africa has featured 6 times on the cover of Time, with the focus of the previous 5 stories on Nelson Mandela. Oscar Pistorius is the only other South African post-apartheid to earn us a front-page article. Once the poster boy for Paralympic sport, he has now become the most recognizable face of violence in South Africa. To speak about this latest cover story titled Oscar Pistorius and the Culture of Violence in South Africa is journalist Alex Perry. Alex is Time Magazine's Africa Bureau Chief. He's also worked in Asia and in the Middle East in the 12 years that he's worked for Time. Alex, thank you so very much for giving us your time here on Outside Eye. We really do appreciate it. Before I get into the content of your article, I want you to give us a little bit of context. What was the brief here? I mean, did your editors ask you to do an investigation on the Oscar Pistorius murder, or was it more to explain to the world how something like this could happen?
Yeah, no, that's it. It's why. You know, the reaction around the world was sort of incredulity. Why did this happen? Why would a man, you know, at the height of his career, powers, fame, whatever you want to call it, adulation, you know, why would he kill his stunning girlfriend? And to explain that, we felt as though we needed to explain why a guy like that might have a gun on his bedside table and a machine gun in the bedroom closet. What would make him want to live inside a security state? Why would he think that crime was a reasonable explanation, which he does, for killing his girlfriend?
And I mean, for the benefit of our viewers who haven't read your article, just tell us a little bit about the arguments that you advance in this story and why. You basically put the whole crime situation in South Africa into context.
Yeah, that's it. We're trying to build out a context here. You know, why is crime so high in South Africa? Why does it have the 10th highest murder rate in the world? Why has it been that way and so sustained for so long?
So what are the arguments that you advance in your article?
We posit that that's to do with economic inequality, that 19 years of apartheid still broadly runs along racial lines, although there is, of course, obviously a new black elite. And in fact, the government here, the ANC, has widened that inequality by criminal and corrupt means itself, preserving, basically taking for itself, but not lifting the vast majority of South Africans.
I'm sure you've seen, Alex, that there have been South Africans who've been quite critical of your article. On Twitter, let me take some examples. Tebe Ikalafeng, who's a well-known figure here in South Africa, calls your article offensive, generalized opinion. Jeffrey York says Time repeats the myth that it's normal in South Africa to shoot first and ask questions later. What's your response to some of this criticism?
Well, yeah, no, some of the criticism has been, you know, good, constructive overall. I think it's been a fairly worthwhile exercise to try and get people talking about some of these rather difficult issues. Some of it's not been that constructive, I have to say. I mean, the stuff that sort of says basically, we're not violent and now we're going to smash your face in, or we're not racist, you American. Get your facts right, you American. That's, you know, not great. But I think broadly, some of that criticism is well-intentioned and well taken. I mean, I think that it falls into 2 main camps. One is we didn't pay enough attention to domestic violence. Well, you know, to that I'd say fair point, but you've got to understand the legal restrictions here. These are legal active proceedings. You have to take what's taken as said in court.
Let me pick out
that's the law. Otherwise, it's contempt of court. Otherwise, you're in danger of prejudicing the case. So you can't really bring in alternative explanations here. You know, you're in danger of contempt of court.
I just want to pick out some statements that have caused a bit of controversy here in South Africa. For example, where you say Oscar's defense is that Steenkamp was the tragic victim of a racially splintered society in which fear and distrust are so pervasive that citizens shoot first and ask questions later.
What did we say there? That's exactly what he says. We're going by what he says. We're trying to explain his defense. We're trying to explain why a guy might say something like that, might think that it is reasonable to fire off shots at a bathroom door when you don't know who's behind it.
Did he mention
we're trying to explain.
Did Oscar Pistorius mention race in his defense?
That's a good point. No, I don't think he did. But I don't think there's any doubt that the inequality in South Africa is still broadly racially based. You know, I don't think I'm giving away any state secrets there. And I don't think there's any doubt that there's a proven link between inequality and crime. This is the context. This is South Africa, racially splintered.
But as you said, this is a legal case, right? This case is in the courts and we go by what he said.
But I don't think saying racially splintered is going to prejudice the case.
But that's not what he said in court. That's not what he said in court, is it, Alex? That's not
no,
what
that's not what he said in
says.
court, but it's the context of the country. You know, come on, I mean, we're being asked to explain something. We give 3,000 words of context and suddenly that's a bad thing?
No, I'm just saying, Oscar Pistorius didn't use the country being racially splintered as his defense. That's a fact.
No, he used raging violent crime in the country as his defense. To explain why that crime exists, we've gone into the context. What's wrong with that?
But in the article you say that's Oscar Pistorius' defense, that he shot Steenkamp because he lives in a racially splintered society. That's not what he said. But anyway, let's move on. Let's agree to disagree. No, come on, you're praising there. You're praising unfairly. That's an unfair summary. Let's move on to the next statement that a lot of people have been talking about. To this day, large areas of the country remain no-go areas for the police.
Okay, I'll tell you what. You are bang on there. There is imprecise language there.
What about in white areas, Afrikaner whites separate themselves from English whites?
Well, look at Cape Town.
Yeah, but Cape Town is not exactly
up there, English white down here.
Are they separating themselves?
Well, they seem to live apart, yeah.
Do you agree that Cape Town is not a great representation of South Africa, is it?
Actually, I think that's a misconception. I think South Africa is the most extreme representation of the national characteristic, which is inequality. People say that Joburg is very different. I think that's rather smug. I think Cape Town is really the absolute logical conclusion that this inequality gets to.
Alex, I mean, just for the benefit of South Africans who have been commenting on Twitter and Facebook about your article, I mean, it's going to be read by close to 3 million people, possibly around the world. I mean, what would you say to some of the statements that you make that you've just admitted here are incorrect?
No, I'm not making... Look, well, I'm saying there's one imprecise word. I'm not saying that the article is incorrect. Absolutely not. I'm standing by it. And what I would say is this, is that democracy and freedom of expression is about tolerating the views that you don't like from someone that you might not like. That's what it is at its most basic, you know? So if you're offended, that's democracy. Be offended. Join the debate. Don't say, kick him out of South Africa, that foreigner. Don't say, get your facts right, you American. Can join the debate in an intelligent, constructive way.
That's all we have time for this week. I'm Ngepile Mabuse and you've been watching Outside Eye, your global perspective on South Africa in 15 minutes. I'll see you next week. Cheers.